Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. This is episode 42, everyone. Tonight's going to be exciting. We're going to talk a lot about PQs, specifically the Lansing PQ. It's going to be exciting because both Alex and I top 8'd the PQ, and that was crazy because we had to play each other twice. So there'll be a whole bunch of stories for y'all. So hopefully you like some stories. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the statistics, probably not go into super detail. There's a couple of cool lists that came out of this weekend at some of the other PQs I kind of wanted to go over. And then on top of that, we really got to do some spoilers because there's a Phasma. There's a Phasma. I can't believe it. There's a Phasma, and I'm so excited for Phasma, and I cannot wait for I just cannot wait for this new set to come out. With that being said, let me bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome JJ. Your Giants still aren't going to win, no matter how many times you wear that hat. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing all right, man. Had a good weekend so far with the family, celebrating some birthdays for my family here locally, and this has just been like the January and February tends to be very busy because there's like birthdays one after another in a row. So it's like every weekend is like going out, celebrating, having parties and stuff. So it's fun, but it does get exhausting.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine. Also joining me tonight is Alex, no longer the bench warmer. How are you tonight, sir?
No, I would still doing bench warmers. That's fine. I'm still a bench warmer. I'm okay. I'm tired. lots of SWU in the past couple days, so
yeah,
been pretty crazy.
Especially because we both played in the PQ yesterday. Is it yesterday now?
It was yesterday. Only yesterday.
So that's crazy. We had a good time. It was definitely a little bit different. For me, I decided to I don't want to say I swerved because I didn't specifically swerve. But I did kind of swerve a little bit. So I now decided I was going to run Pelp Yellow instead. So there's that. I ran Pelp Yellow, and I guess it was a good meta call because I only ran into one speed at all the whole day. And that was actually my only loss in Swiss, and that was the last round. So I won't lie and say I probably was not trying super hard against it either because I just really wanted that break to sit there. But my deck doesn't like Sabines at all. So you know how that is. But it was really awesome. I'll be honest, I want to give a shout out to Evolution Games. Like, they were not the most responsive in their Discord or through emails and stuff like that originally. But I'll tell you what, they ran a top-notch PQ. I had nothing but a good time. The table, how about this? I'm a fat guy, and when I sat down and there's enough table space to put your water bottle on one side and your deck box on the other side and a full playmat, and you're not touching elbows with people, hands down, I mean, that's just the best. So they had enough room for everybody, where none of us were cramped in. I don't know, Alex, you didn't feel cramped in, did you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is the best. I've never had it like this before. And so that was awesome. They gave us a lunch break too. I could have probably done without the lunch break only because I've been doing these now for a couple of months, and I'm used to just not getting the lunch break. But it was nice. I got to sit around. I actually played a couple of games with a local of mine who was there, and him and I got to shoot the shit and stuff like that. So that was really fun. I got to talk with him, so I like that. But yeah, other than that, I want to hands down, they gave out 6 packs to anybody that didn't make top 8. So if you didn't make top 8, you got 6 packs just for coming. Which is crazy because that never happens, right? So this was the best PQ to just go play in just for the hell of it. And Alex, your buddy, who by the way is not you tell me he's 18, but he ain't 18. That kid is so tall. He's got a full beard and he's tall, and he ended up pulling the showcase. So his constellation.
Yeah, he's 6'9", probably still growing. But yeah, no, he made 9th, by the way. Got 9th with the yellow Obi-Wan deck that we've been working on. and it was really, really good run for him. Like, I mean, I barely edged him out just because I'm pretty sure it's probably because I took a game off of you, and also only lost to like the top 2 people, right? So yeah, and then he got rewarded with a Django showcase.
Yeah.
That I think he's going to immediately try to sell and get his Obi-Wan showcase.
That's what he told me. He immediately asked if anybody had an Obi-Wan showcase he wanted to sell, and I wanted to tell him it looks like shit, but whatever. More power to you.
This is his favorite. So can't blame him for that.
No, and so we'll actually. I don't have his deck. I'll have to look and see if he sent it to me. I think he was going to send it to me, so I'll have to double check and see if he sent it to me. But yeah, overall, it was a very fun PQ. Being able to hang out with a lot of people from Michigan again, like that's just fun. It felt like X-Wing days without being X-Wing days a little bit. And that's like I miss some of that. Like I genuinely do. I really do hope the gentleman from Hoplite actually gets something going for Swoo for Michigan GT, because that's coming up here in October. I think the first weekend of October. And since he took over running it, I was told we're gonna get a big Swoo tournament, and that's in Lansing. And like I would be grateful if they did something like Gen Con, where it's like 3 days or 2 days or something like that. Give me a Friday heat and a Saturday heat or whatever. So
yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. If that happens, you should come up here, JJ. You could just make the drive. It's what, 6 hours, 7 hours for you?
Yeah.
Just do it, JJ. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
I got a spare couch you can crash on if you have to.
That's even further away.
All right, fine. You can
crash the wrong direction.
You can sleep on Alex's floor then. There you go. Alex will put you up in his basement.
Unfortunate.
Sounds like a good time, man.
So before we get into our PQ, let's do our Chaos of War, and actually just kind of go over some of the higher level statistics, and then we're going to specifically get into our PQ, and we're going to what I have just so Alex doesn't know this yet or not, but I have promised that we're going to do a little bit of a deck tech for our PQ for his deck and for mine a little bit because there was quite a bit of interest in it, especially because I think people are sleeping on the Han 1 blue, a little bit, and I think people didn't know how to play against it at all. And so you're taking all the best parts of Han and then adding all the best parts of blue. So like it's kind of a win-win situation because blue is very strong right now. So we're gonna do that as well. But let's get into our Chaos of War before we do anything else. All right, welcome to our Chaos of War. This is where we talk a little bit about meta and statistics. This is kind of analyzing, what is it, our 5th week of PQs? Is that what we're in now officially? 5th week of PQs? And super excited to see some new stuff kind of crop up. As for the overall numbers, I'm not going to go, I'm going to go through this first, and then we'll kind of go through the other screen and kind of look a little bit at the top of the cuts. So to kind of begin with, this is the overall numbers. You have Hero Green actually on top over Hero Yellow, which is hilarious because it must just be those extra Hans adding to the Sabines, pushing it over.
The Sabines, and occasionally you'll get like the Quinlans, right? Like, you know, spoilers one, Chicago and ours. So yeah, that's like not super surprising because like green's really good, and then occasionally you look at like the blue-green heroes, right? It's like Luke's and Boba's and Yodas have the green Yodas have won a couple, so
yeah. So overall, it looks like Han is still on the top, but he's only at 22%. He was up to 25%, so I believe he actually lost about 3% of the top cut share this weekend. And I think Alex and I will take some very aggressive thank yous for that. Screaming.
No Han Yellows made top 8 in Lansing.
Nope. And that was kind of a little bit of the joke. We were the first deck I had to play was a Han Green. And I felt so bad for him. I was like, oh, sorry, man. Like he had to play Palpatine Yellow. It was not. He did not have a good time. But yeah, so it's nice to see some of these numbers coming back. We're going to see a little bit more Django, Quinlan Voss, obviously up there. Bosk kind of on the rise. We'll have a conversation about that. We had 2 boss greens in our top cut. So, but if you look at that, these are just kind of the numbers, overall numbers for everything going on. Oops. Sorry, give me a second. All right, so here this weekend is the PQs. They didn't get the Barcelona information in, so we don't have that. But as you can see, Django, Tarkentown, and Thrawn Blue were the top of Spain's last one. Now, there was only 25 people, but Thrawn Blue, which I believe they told us it had an Endless Legion in it, because we talked about this, didn't we? I think 3 weeks ago. Here it is again. Somebody bringing a Thrawn Blue deck with Endless Legion. Crazy, right? That's just
so proud of them. So proud of them for doing that.
One of the UK has no results in. I think that's the one that was today. France, Django Tarkentown over Han 1 Yellow. You'll notice another Palpatine in that in there, but it's tons of Han Yellow in that PQ. West Virginia, we saw Akira ECL win one. So I think that's the second one that she's taken down with the Django Tarkentown. There's another Palp Yellow up in there.
And there's 2 Han Greens in there too, notably,
Yep.
which is kind of wild. You don't usually see like 2 of them make top 8, especially when they're the only Hans represented in top 8. What's going on in West Virginia?
Yeah. Nobody wanted to run yellow anymore, I guess. They're all switching to green. So then on to the Lansing one. This is the one Alex and I were in. So there was a Quinlan ECL over the Boss Green. You see Alex in there with Han Blue 1, another Boss Green, my Palpatine Yellow. There's a Cad Bane Tarkentown, which will that I can't remember that gentleman's name now.
Tim, he's very good.
And it was funny because we sat down and Tim's running a different Cad Bane Tarkentown deck, and I kind of want to look at it. But his is definitely a lot different than other people's Cad Bane Tarkentowns, and he's not running the triple dark raid, I don't think.
Nope.
I think he's just running Cad Bane Tarkentown with a lot of space units, and it's like could be extremely low to the ground. And I won the first game against him, but man, those last 2 games were just like a slog. And when we get to our analysis, I'll talk about that game specifically because it was hilarious, and I felt bad for him. We also had an Anakin Blue make the top. And that's actually a friend of the show's, Brendan. He used to play X-Wing with us. So Brendan actually made the top 8 as well. So that was kind of nice. I was actually hoping him and I would get a Revenge of the Swiss instead of being Alex. Because that's a little bit better matchup for me. So I was more hoping to run into Brendan than Alex. But
it was nice catching up with him too. I got talking to him before the tournament. I'm just like, oh man, how's it been? I haven't seen you in a little bit. X-Wing, yeah, it's fun, crazy. This game's great. Yeah. So it was nice that like, oh hey, look, Brandon made is right over there. He's a top 8. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Which
awesome.
I'm very, very happy he got top 8 because that's who his ride is the one that took us home. Took me home.
Yikes.
So, yep. And then we go down to New York, had another Kira ECL. So I think that's 3 now.
Wild.
Yeah.
That have made it. I would have thought the Kira 30 base would be more popular, but nope. It's that Wu ECL is just coming back to people. Over at Django Tarkentown, I think this is the one that it was Bobby Sapphire was the number 2 in this one, but I'm not sure from KTOD. There is 2 Han Yellows notably in there, and also a Cad Bane Green, which is kind of cool to see. Now we go down to Mobile, Alabama. Sabine took this one down, so there you go, a little bit coming back. 2 Boss Greens in that one, and then a Han 2 ECL. Isn't that crazy? A Han 2 ECL. Oh man, we're gonna go over that list. I want to go over that list tonight because I want to know if that's like the hero version of the Boss. But that's cool to
what
see.
People are trying to do with their damaging their own units when there's so much Tarkentown.
Yeah, but it works for him.
I was gonna say this is very similar to something that I ran for a while, and it works, man. I mean, when you're able to flood your board with a lot of units, even if they're damaged early on, I mean, you can still pressure your opponent to have to deal with that, because you can easily end the game by like turn 4 or turn 5 if you have the right amount of units come out. Like it's good.
Oh, I ran like Red Green Han for a while. It's just like, man, Tarkin Town's really rough. It's not rough if they just target down whatever first unit you drop, but like if they save it for something actually important, like if you like put Poe down early,
it
gets pretty iffy. So it's kind of crazy to see how well that did.
Yeah. Moving into Maine, another Sabine took it down. Notably, there's 2 Bosk Blues up there. I'm a little surprised because they had 2 Han Yellows make it. They must have just dodged each other, because I think Han Yellow is like a lot better matchup than the Bosk Blue. Like I think it wins it. But maybe not. Maybe I'm incorrect in that.
I mean, if you steal their resources with Tech DJ, like that's pretty devastating for a control deck.
Yeah, especially one that can't ramp.
Right.
There ain't no ramp there. Denver. Look, Palpatine Yellow winning another one up in Denver there.
And 2 more Han Greens.
Yep, 2 more Han Greens. And another Palpatine Yellow. So, like, I want to play Denver. That's where we need to go, Alex. Like, that was like, look at that. All that control and all the aggro crap's on the bottom there. So, that's cool. I like seeing it. I love me some control. Moving on to Memphis. There's your Han Yellows.
Yeah, let's never go to Memphis. Look at that.
Yep. Han Yellow.
Double yellow, and Tarkin down Django, Tarkin down Quidlid, 2 speed ECLs, another Django Tarkin down, and a Boss Green. Let's not go to Tennessee.
Nope. I do like their whiskey there, but yeah, I would agree. No, thank you for that one.
Gross.
Columbus, we have basically the same thing, except for this one has a Vader Tarkin Town. I did pull that list. It's a crappy screenshot, but I got the list. We're going to go over that list because Crispy was running that for a little while back in like set 1. And I thought it was crazy because I could never get that stupid list to work. So I want to see what the innovations in it are.
Yeah, we had a couple Vader Reds. I think one of them got runner up in a store showdown in set 1.
Yeah, crazy. There's more Han, more Bosk. I guess this is Spain again. Man, Spain's got a lot of.
Spain's no fun, is what I'm learning, because all of them are just like, wow, we've seen all of these before.
Yeah. Then we go into Italy. Quinlan ECL, second Quinlan ECL. So now there's 3 Quinlan ECLs that took it down. 2 more Han Yellows, a Han Red Tarkin Town, 2 more Sabines, CAD, and a Quinlan. And then this last one, I guess, in Netherlands, I guess the only deck we know is Iden Blue. So I think that's 2 for Iden Blue now, maybe 3. So still exciting to see all of those things. Before we get into the interesting decks, obviously they didn't have all the top 4 decks or the top decks like they usually do, probably because people haven't submitted them all. We're not going to go through all the top decks again. We're getting close to what I would consider the end of like competitive season as we're kind of ramping up to set 4. So really, like I don't know how much I want to go through the same iterations like and see the few different things that kind of come from it. So these are what the decks I kind of found interesting. I think we've gone over this CAD green deck before more than once, but the big thing that I seen in there is an Emphy's Nest. That's newer, and it's obviously the non-hero, non-villain one. So, I don't remember seeing that before, and I'm not super sold on that unit, but I guess it does come in with the ambush. So,
yeah, I mean, you got triple Cloud Rider, triple Forlob, triple Boss, triple Syndicate Lackeys, and triple Maul, in addition to the double FS. So it's like, yeah, I got a ton of ambush, and you have to kill FS, which is like super unintuitive because you're like, why would I bother killing that thing right now? Like, whatever.
Yeah. Seeing to choose the sides in the sideboard is just like they really like Traitorous, but I guess they want that instead. So,
yeah, I mean, just give them your Bazine, whatever.
I know, right? Exactly.
And I wish I could have done that with your Village Protectors yesterday. You can have my Bazine, I'll take your Village Protectors. That's a good idea. Now I'm going to put that in there. So I don't know. that again, and the question becomes is because how many resources is that's 7 resources, right?
Yeah.
For 2 sides, yeah.
So it's like
And
one.
requires you to have a board or like
Yeah.
someone.
So it's a
Possibly
little
worth giving up.
yeah. It's a little bit like different than what I would consider the like what you get for Change of Heart. Change of Heart is really good. So, but that's an
I
interesting
think 2
choice.
sides is like a very underrated card for sure. Like I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. It's just 7's rough, but like understandably, it's priced that way.
Yep, and this one, it's funny. This deck does not have Vader in it. So, here is the Han to green that we're gonna go over. It's the ECL, I guess, version. So, JJ, why don't you go over that deck and tell us what's in this deck?
Yeah. So this Han ECL here, we start off with 2 copies here of Heroic Sacrifice, 3 copies of R2D2, 3 Clone Deserters, 2 Timely Interventions, 2 Reckless Gunslingers, 3 Battlefield Marines, 3 Green Squadron A-Wings, 3 Sabine Wrens, 2 Echo-Based Defenders, 2 Fighters for Freedoms, 3 copies of Red 3, 3 Cassian Andors, 3 Bright Hopes, 3 K2SOs, 3 Heavies, 2 Adelphi Patrol Wings, 3 copies of Poe Dameron, 2 Guerrilla Attack Pods, and 3 copies of Wrecker. And then in the sideboard here, you have 2 copies of the Mandalorian Fang Fighters, the U-Wing Reinforcements, and Home 1, then a single copy of Choose Sides, and 3 Scanning Officers there, which is actually a really solid card to have in the beginning, especially if your opponent has like Smuggle Card. Is just a really good way off the bat to get that in there. The added bonus for that particular card is that it has 3 health. So if you need to hunt it in, it will still survive on 1, and you're able to take advantage of that particular ability and still have it attack there. What's really great about this deck is that it has a lot of low cost cards. You're able to bring in units cheaply. Yeah, they'll die after 1 hit, but that's really all you need, right? Because you're playing aggressive with this particular list, putting out as many units as possible. Heck, even with all the 1 cost cards that you have on here, you can essentially on turn 1 put out a Reckless Gunslinger, put a Clone Deserter out for free, and then R2D2. That's 3 cards in 1 turn, and you have a heck of a board presence that your opponent is usually not ready to deal with right off the bat, or even bringing in Sabine Wren at 1 cost, and having her attack the next turn. You're able to put in a ton of damage on there. It gets even better once you start bringing in like Red 3 and Fighters for Freedom as well, being able to take out any Sentinel units fairly easy. It gets really good. I definitely like the inclusion in K2SO because you're expected to have that unit die and you're just able to deal additional damage out there. It's definitely a really aggressive deck, especially with Han. If you're playing against another aggressive player and those base damage counts gets really high, having that Guerrilla Attack Pad come down in cost and have it be deployed ready and have Grit on top of that, becoming a 6/4 when it gets deployed, is a really good way to finish off opponents there. And yeah, it's a really fun deck. I definitely enjoyed playing this deck when I was running this.
Yeah, I mean, like solid.
Yeah, this deck just the question is why not just Sabine? That's what I would always ask. I mean, this one's a little bit less like rebel focused. There's no fleet lieutenants in here.
Yeah.
But they have tons of rebel units.
Yeah, it's different from Sabine because you're able to get more units out on the board quicker at the expense of the health. So you're a little more aggressive than Sabine is. So that's kind of like the difference, right? It does rely on a lot of red cards more, whereas Sabine is a lot more rebel units. So yeah.
All I know is that if this played against me, yeah, you put 2 units down, I'm just gonna pop one of them and draw a card. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. It's a cool deck. There's that choose your sides again in there in that sideboard again.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised Scanning Officer not main board because you can drop her for the 1 cost, but I don't know. and you don't really care if she dies. It's a neat little deck. I still think I'd rather run Sabine. So. Really, we're not going to go through this deck. I think the big noticeable difference in this is a Quinlan non-Tarkin town that made top. Like, all right, I guess Quinlan's strong enough that it can make top without Tarkin town now. So I don't know. There's nothing. I don't see anything different in this deck. It's got the throw. I'm going to get rid of your cards. Except for that 1 6 cost card.
The crossfire.
Yeah, where you like attack, where they attack each other. That's kind of spicy, and I like that card in this deck. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know why they don't go Tarkin Town, other than they want the extra health. I don't know. But it has a little bit more of a long game in the board, so it's not. I'm assuming this is more of a tempo deck or mid-range deck, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's got Great Dragons in it, and like just mostly you get a lot of control because of the triple Force Throw, the double Bamboozles, the triple Spark, triple Pillage, triple Kira. So like you're still trying to control things. It's even got the 2 Senatorial Cravatts, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Which discard your opponent's card when defeated, and also they have Saboteur, so it's really good if they have like Bright Hopes and stuff.
Yeah,
it's really solid.
Yeah, and it's interesting not seeing the Tarkin Town piece of it. But I understand why. Like, I still think this is a viable deck in this meta. Now, Alex, tell us about this Vader red deck, because holy crap, this is hilarious. And like this, there is no cards in here from set 3 except for 1, right? I see. Oh, yep, 1 set 3 card and 1 set 2 card or something like that. What is this deck?
Yeah, right. So this is a Tarkin Town Vader. It has triple Stormtroopers, triple Force Lightning main deck, triple Force Throw, triple just the base TIE Fighters, double Give Into Your Anger. That's the one where you do 1 damage to a unit, and then they have to attack one of your units if able with that unit immediately next action. Double Daring Raid, triple the First Legion Snowtroopers, 1 Vader's Lightsaber, double Force Choke, double Kylo Silencer, triple Fifth Brother, triple the Fallen Lightsaber, double Veers, triple Cell Black Guard, triple Open Fire, double the double red Saw Gerrera. You're not putting the Hero 1 in there. Triple Aggression, double Seventh Sister, double Raider, double Palpatine, and your set 3 card with 1 Dooku. In the side, you got double Chaos of War. That's the one that does damage for equal to the cards in hand. You got double of the Tri-Fighters that block the healing. You have a double Execute Order 66, just because apparently they really hate Jedi. You got a 3rd Raider, 1 Kylo, and then double Great Dragon.
So first critique, just run the stupid extra Raider in the deck. You just should always have 3 of them. I don't know why you...
Yeah, I mean... Sure. I mean, this is such a great ship. Yeah, this is just kind of wild, right? I mean, like, Tarkin Town does make sense with Vader, right? Because you have a bunch of actual, like even first turn, like, you have a bunch of, like, 1 plays that are villainy, and then you can hit something and then Tarkin Town them. But it works with Vader's ability. It's just not usually paired up because Vader comes out on 7. He's a little bit slow for the aggro game, which these usually are. But yeah, this is just like take all the Force units and all the Imperial units and smash them together and run a deck into people. And it's really cool. I like it. Not sure about the Execute Order 66, but it does deal with like
Quinlan's
outright kill them, but like it does do a fair amount of damage to like Quinlan's and Obi's and all that stuff. So wild. Might play this tomorrow.
Yeah, this deck looks fun as hell. Like I don't know if I could get this to ever work correctly, but this deck does look fun.
Yeah, definitely for sure.
The next one we have is this one's a little bit older, but I forgot that I had this deck and I kind of wanted to go through it. This is a Krennic security complex that made it top 3. And this is the JJ deck. I'm gonna let JJ go through this because this is like a JJ deck. There's like one-offs in here that like
Yeah.
two-offs. Like there's more unique cards in this deck than any other deck.
Yeah, so this one here, we got a Director Krennic Security Complex deck here, so double blue here. So we got 3 copies of Protector, 3 Hydlobond Enforcers, 1 Covert Strength, 3 copies of Inferno 4, 2 Scout Bike Pursuers, 3 Dr. Pershings, 3 Powered the Dark Sides, 3 Dark Troopers, 2 Clients, 1 Evidence of the Crime, 1 Equalize, 2 copies of Perilous Position, 3 Lieutenant Childsons, 3 Vigilances, 1 Takedown, 2 Long Pikes, 2 Fell the Dragons, 2 Devastating Gunships, 1 copy of Ki Mundi, 1 Rivals Fall, 2 First Lights, 1 Super Laser Blast, 2 Supreme Litter Snokes, and 3 Avengers. And then in the sideboard, we got an Out of Aspect Bazine Natal, which is wild. It's great, as well as tech. We got 1 copy of
Equalize.
Restock. And then we also got Merciless Contest on there. We also got an additional Equalize, 1 Calculated Lethality, an additional Ki Mundi, and then 2 additional copies of Super Laser Blast on top to be in the sideboard there. Definitely a lot of one-offs on this one here. The Covert Strength, I assume that you would save that for the units that you're trying to use as your Sentinel piece, specifically because you had that Protector upgrade on there. You can put some of your high health units on there, particularly like if you're not looking to use Dr. Pershing as much, you can give him Protector and then heal damage off of him as you need to, especially if you can use Krennic to boost that damage off him to make him essentially like a 2/5 or even higher with the Protector on there. The Evidence of Crime is nice, especially with Lum Pike, because you can give a shield to a unit and then Evidence of the Crime and steal that shield that you just gave out and put it on one of your own units, particularly like a Sentinel unit, so you can constantly keep your units with like shields and stuff. So yeah, it's really nice. Like it's awesome to have that flexibility on there. But I am wondering if there's just one too many like 1 cost cards on there. Ki Mundi is really nice. I think having 3 of him in the deck is probably worth it. But what you're giving up for that, I mean, I might have given up the gunships to have 2 more Ki Mundis in there. But still, it's definitely a fun deck. I would definitely try to run this.
I would never give up those gunships.
I don't know. I think Ki Mundi is a little more consistent than the gunships.
I don't know. These are wild. This is a pretty crazy deck. Actually, I had a buddy who played in our Store Showdown last week was running something incredibly similar. He said he was inspired by this list. I didn't see too much of it because our games were really weird. But yeah, it's really cool. I do love Krennic. The Security Complex is wild, though.
Yeah.
What do you like?
What are you shielding?
Do you swing into something with the Hablon and then give it a shield? Or like, I mean, shielding a Childson's really, really good, but like, is it worth the 5 damage? Because maybe, I mean, you have like the clients, right? And obviously the vigilances, so maybe you can heal enough that you can run the 25 health base, but you don't see it often, so who knows?
Yeah, is this a control deck? I don't know. I don't think it is. I don't know. It's like weird.
Yeah, I was talking to James, who was running it. Something similar. He's like, it's not quite like hard control, but it's like a soft control that like you can consistently do like enough damage over time, and then just like winning the end games, you have like Snoke and Avengers and the First Lights and whatnot. So
wild. We have another one, Yoda Green, that came out. Alex, I think you played a little bit of Yoda Green. I don't know if we've covered that before, have we?
I don't believe so, actually.
So I thought this would be kind of a fun deck to go through, especially because, as we're going away from PQ season, People probably still have store showdowns. I think this is actually a decent deck to take to a store showdown, and it's like more fun to play than Luke. So like you give a shield, or you can like look at your cards. Like so
Yeah, or just draw a bunch, right?
yeah. So Alex, what is this deck? I want to go through this deck because I want to know like what this deck does and you know how it's played.
Yeah, so this is just Yoda 30 Hell Green. It's got a triple Restored Arc, triple Battlefield Marine, only 2 C3PO, which is wild to me because that's you just get free card draw with Yoda's ability. You got double Spark of Hope, triple Gamorrean Retainers, triple Yoda, triple Yermayoli Hope, triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, triple Village Protectors, double Perilous, triple Resupply, double Kanan, triple Vigilance, double Bright Hope, double Fel the Dragon, triple Obi, triple Luke, triple U-Wing, and double Home 1. In the side, you have 2 Regional Governors, 2 Jedi Lightsabers, a 3rd Perilous Position, double Razor Crest, presumably for when you add in the Jedi Lightsabers, whatnot, a 3rd Fel the Dragon, 1 Redemption, and a 3rd Home 1. Yeah, I mean, it's... Blue-Green Hero is pretty solid. And then I like Yoda a lot, and he can do a lot of things. His deck's kind of wild to me, though. It seems a little bit like in conflict with itself, I guess. I don't know. A lot of it's like you're trying to stall, but you're also trying not to stall. But if you do stall, your endgame's Luke and Home 1, which is a fine endgame, but ain't going to beat endgame decks, right? Who are also trying to stall out, so... I don't see how this can go really fast. I mean, I guess you can like, resupply and spark all open to like an Obi-Wan early or something. I don't know, or like try to bring out Yoda early. But even then, that doesn't do much. And your Yoda flip turn is not going to kill any huge units.
No, do you really want to discard a card like one of your top ends to kill something? Like, no.
I mean, like. Turn 1 C3PO or whatever, turn 2 resupply, and then turn 3 at 5 resources. You can play You're My Only Hope and play like a Luke.
True.
On turn 4, which is really nice. That's what Han does. So you can do some crazy things like that, but like that's inherent to every Yoda deck that has that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a cool looking deck, and it's something that I'm not. I don't know. I'm not sold on it, but I think, like, again, as I said earlier, as we're moving away from PQ season to some extent, right? You got to play something for fun. Like this made top cut, and this looks pretty fun. So I don't think this won a tournament, but it did make top cut in the top 8 at a PQ. So
yeah, that's fair.
Well, all right. I think that is enough for our Chaos of War segment tonight. Thank you all for joining us for that segment. Up next, we're going to be talking about our Lansing PQ. Are you excited, Alex, to talk about our runs?
I guess, sure.
Oh my gosh. Where is the excitement, Alex?
I'm not excited for anything in my life, okay? I don't know what you want from me.
I guess nothing. You should have just dropped out and let me win. And I could have just gone on and played.
You gonna beat that Quinlan deck?
Nope, I would not have.
Oh.
No, Alex was way too wide for 29 health, and then he's like, you know what? I quit.
You can just claim every round and then let me just swing in and just win. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about our Lansing PQ that Alex and I went to. Both of us made top cut. I went 6-0, and then I lost my last round to Sabine because I finally saw Sabine, which I just thought was crazy. I didn't see any Sabines. I don't know if it's just the way things got matched up, or like the Sabines were getting knocked down a little bit this weekend, I think. So we missed each other quite a bit. Alex, his only loss was to me originally, and then he made it all the way up. And where's a picture of us? I don't know if I put the picture in here. Oh, maybe did I not put a picture of us in here? No. All right, I'll add that in a second. But there was a picture of us because essentially, like, we saw each other round 2, and then we didn't see each other, and then all of a sudden was it the last round or second to last round? I don't remember which it was. We ended up hanging out, like sitting next to each other, and it was kind of hilarious. And then, as you can see, this is the top after everything went down. Grumpy Elephant, the gentleman that won the PQ in Chicago, took a very similar list that he had to the other one, and basically took it all the way. I have to go back and look at what his one loss was. I think it was Boss Green.
It was Boss Green, as he was saying that when we were playing.
Which is funny because then he beat Boss Green in the top cut. The second gentleman, I don't remember his name anymore, but I played him too, and he was a really good player as well. I actually played almost all of these people in the top cut on the way to the top. So I didn't play Grumpy Elephant, and I didn't play
you didn't play Jake.
Yeah,
he came in 6th in that screenshot up there.
No, I did play Jake, I'm pretty sure. What was Jake on?
Tim's buddy. He's running Tarkentown Django.
Okay, no, I did not play him either. I played Tim and not him. He was sitting next to Tim when we played. Yeah. So overall, this is kind of where it went out to. We'll go over the top deck to begin with, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about our runs and our decks. So since we have a podcast, we can do that. So hopefully y'all like it. So this was the Quinlan deck that kind of the reversion of this deck, and essentially this deck likes to go low and wide and is a very fast deck to play against. You could tell his top end is literally Ayla's and 1 Falcon, which I know why the Falcon's in there, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. It's crazy only seeing the 1 scanning officer in there. I would have thought in this meta having more scanning officers would be better, but essentially this is 2 shoot first, 3 bounty hunters query, 1 decommission, 2 blasters, 2 battlefield marines, 2 Leia, or 3 battlefield marines, 2 Leias, 3 Gamo guards, 3 L337s, 2 surprise strike, 2 clear the field, 3 of the cheap Falcon, 3 Sundari peacekeepers, 2 Voss, 2 Cobb Vanth. Why did I say Voss? I don't even know who Voss is. When are we getting a Quinlan Voss unit? There you go. 2 spare the targets, 2 techs, 3 Huyangs, 3 General's Blades, 3 resupplies, 2 Bright Hopes, 3 Aylas, and 1 Ambush Falcon. In his side, there's 2 Hans, 2 Ewings, 1 more tech to round it out, another spare the target, 3 R2D2s, and 1 lonely scanning officer. So Alex, you had to play against this deck. When did he play his resupply? Did he play it on turn 2, like each game?
I'm not sure if I remember him playing resupplies actually, because I think he can't ramp against like the Han. You have to go super, super wide against it. The first game, like I didn't draw anything, so it was just like cool. I have to put my Jedi lightsaber on my village protectors. That doesn't do too much. But yeah, then, like the second game is just like brought in the U-Wings and the Hans and the I guess the 1 scanning officer. I didn't see it, but a lot of it was just like just play a ton of low cost units. He always had those General Blades for that Quinlan. That Huyangs really mess with a lot of math. He'd do it on like the Gamorrean Retainers or L3, right? Just kind of buff them up. Just be a pain. The clear the fields are very specifically good against my deck, but also just like a cheap bounce, right? Like you got those and the spare the target, so you can bounce a lot of stuff. You got the shoot first, so your stuff can live. The bounty hunters, quarries, and the Cobb Vans, pull more units, and then like pulling like a Leia off a bounty hunters quarry or a Cobb Vanth is very good.
It's dirty.
Yeah, it's really nice. I used to do it with Han Green in set 1. I would play like home 1 and then drop a Leia.
Mm-hmm.
It's real nice. So, yeah, I mean, it just load the ground, get Quinlan huge. Because, what are you going to do? Like, rivals him, right? Like, that's basically it. So, just went off that and just went pure efficiency, go really wide.
This is very similar-ish to the deck that I had been messing around with as well. I took a Quinlan ECL based on Grumpy Elephant, actually. Ironically enough, to a store showdown and took it down with it. This is his updated, reiterated version. Maybe we'll get lucky. He'll come on the show and we can talk a little bit more Quinlan. I like this deck personally in terms of like for fun, like to play. Like I think it's a very fun deck to play. But it does have a few more lines than your average, just like you got to know when to trade and when not to trade, and you got to know when to just go to base and stuff like that. So there's some pieces in there you just got to be careful of, because you really want to get the Ayla ECL off. That's kind of like the Ayla ECL with Quinlan on the board just takes care of every aggro leader for the most part. And like then any of the bigger leaders, usually you're far enough ahead you don't care as much. So it's very dirty. Let's move on. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first, Alex? How about that?
I guess I can go first.
All right. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about your deck, right? So I want you to go through your deck. Let's kind of talk a little bit about, your run, kind of explain how the deck works. What are some good counters to it? What makes the deck not be counterable? And like, what are you not excited to see versus excited to see against?
Well, so this is like the deck that won out in Norwich, England, where they just have 30 cards that cost 3, right? So I guess I'll run through it real quick. It's for this zone is double Force Throw, double Hotshot Blaster, triple Spark, triple C3PO, triple Grogu, and then the massive run of 3-cost things is triple Yoda, triple Jedi Lightsaber, triple Ezra, triple the 3-cost Falcon, triple Concord Dawn Interceptor, triple Village Protectors, triple DJ, triple Tack, triple Perilous Position, triple Waylay, and then at the top end you have triple Luke, triple Han, and double Redemption. In the side, it is double Takedown, double Fell the Dragon, double Change of Heart, double Rivals Fall, and then double Home 1, so you can have 4 colors in your deck at once. But it actually like it lets you get back into games with a lot of restore if you need it, and there's also a big 7 attack space unit, which is huge. But yeah, it's just C3PO with like the consistency of calling the 3-cost units lets you mitigate like Han's normal issues of he destroys his own hand to play more resources. So with C3PO, it can continue drawing more stuff. And with blue, you get a whole bunch of other anti-aggro things because you have Restore with like Yoda, and the Jedi Lightsabers are real nasty, and then you have the Concord Dawns, the Village Protectors, and dropping Luke on turn 4 is really good. Usually you could take out something, half the time they kill your own unit, so you're taking out whatever their biggest one is. And then you can swing in Restore, and it's just really hard to to go against. And it's a lot of fun to play. It's kind of what like drew me to the deck, is that there's just a whole bunch of crazy different lines that you have to make the right decisions for in order to play. But also the math works out really cool. Like if they just stop your Han turn on the flip, like with like a Perilous or something, or they exhaust them, you're at 6 resources and you can play most of your deck. 2 cards from most of your deck. It gets weird things, like if you're at 5, you can smuggle out DJ, play Han, and then swing with Han, and then you're up to 3 resources if you stole an unexhausted one, so then you can play another card, usually like an Ezra or something. It's also really, really strong. You can resource DJ, like I did against you. You have 4 resources, you Han to 5 for the DJ, then you can smuggle them out, steal 1, that brings you up to 6, and then you can flip Han, swing in, and then play like a Grogu or a C3PO or Spark after that. And that's like turn 3, which is really, really nasty. So, yeah, I didn't like, I lost to Tim. He was running his Cad Bane Tarkin Town. That's a pretty strong deck. Like it just the way he plays it, it's just like he just drops it down that just hits you until you just can't really do too much. He just usually out efficiencies you. But I don't feel like I auto lose that matchup. I did have to play. I played you twice, Tanner, and then I also played another Yellow Palpatine. So I played Yellow Pal 3 times. I don't feel like this is bad into that matchup. Or not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Like, it doesn't feel bad at all into the matchup. It feels more like a 50-50 kind of thing. But, yeah, that game in Swiss against the other Yellow Pal, I had to, like, smuggle out my Falcon, hit for 3, waylay it back, put it back down, and hit for another 3 for lethal. So it was just like, we're in the extreme late game. We're just trying to do stuff right now. But yeah, like first turn Grogu really hoses a lot of aggro decks. And then if you want to, you just put a lightsaber on him, and now he just kills anything that has 5 health. And if he can't, then he can just tap him down. It's really hard to deal with. Or you could play like Yoda first turn if you have a lightsaber, and then he's just really, really hard to deal with at 5/7 restore 2. Or Ezra. First turn play is really good with Ezra because everything costs 3, so you're not playing stuff out of your hand, so you build up the hand advantage again. Because there's I played against like an Obi Tarkin Town, and I think over the course of like 2 turns it was like a double pillage force throw, and I'm like, I still have 4 cards in hand. Like that's not doing much. Especially if you have a tech out, then you can just smuggle whatever because everything costs 5. So, I don't know. I might add a third redemption to the sideboard at some point. The home ones are fun, but maybe a little too excessive.
Yeah, I mean, you did hit more resources, at least against me. The first time we played, you hit a lot of resources. And I think against that Django Tarkin town that you played, I think you hit quite a few resources for that. So you like that's the funny thing about
go up to like 9-10 resources,
Yeah.
like easy, especially with DJ. It's essentially ramping, and you just keep throwing down your smuggle cards the whole time, right? Like you don't need the hotshot blasters, you don't need the extra copies of DJs or tax or whatever. So I'm just sitting there with like a ton of resources, and then I can play 3 or 4 cards a turn because they all are super cheap.
Yeah. And I think that's the fun, the one thing I believe I saw you do this. I don't know if it was against me or somebody else, but you played the C3PO, you play Ezra, right? And then the next turn you can like swing with Ezra and then look at the top card of your deck. And if it's a 3, then you could just leave it on there if you don't want to play it, because then you can just draw it with C3PO. It's like crazy. It's like the Yoda peeking is what that is, right? Like that's what that is Yoda peeking without being plain Yoda.
Yeah, it works well if you've seen a lot of like your 3-cost cards, and you're like, I'm gonna swing in with Ezra, make sure it's not like a Luke or a Han, and then you can swing in C3PO because the top part of your decks are gonna get it no matter what.
Yeah.
Top table shockingly bad at calling 3 with C3PO. It was almost never a 3. It was really impressive against the Quinlan ECL. I think I hit once in the first game. Like it was just I just never hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild deck. It's super crazy. It's very fun to play. I had a lot of fun with this deck.
So the question is what decks are you more scared of with this deck? So obviously it's Han, so it automatically gets a boost, and then it gets another boost because it's got DJ and Tech in it, so you can do the DJ Tech combos if that's what you really want to do for it. And which is hilarious because everybody's running scanning officers, and if everybody just did what you did with that while playing Han, people would stop running scanning officers, and you wouldn't have to do that anymore. Like you would just be like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore.
So remember how you're just like, hey, Alex, what are you going to bring to the PQ? And I'm just like, I'm literally the worst person to ever ask this question. So I started playing this on Friday. Our PQ was Saturday. I played maybe about 10 games, maybe 11 or so before the PQ. So I don't know what decks that I think I have a terrible, terrible matchup into. That Quinlan ECL deck very much wrecked it. So anything, I guess, that goes really wide but also is able to like handle what I'm doing. But I feel like that's like every deck, if they go really wide and also handle your opponent's stuff, it's really good. I don't feel bad in aggro at all. Generally, space is a little bit weak in this, but like that's what the perilous positions are for usually, and the waylays are just like for the space units and Grogu. Yeah, I'm not certain. But I guess anything that can effectively kind of control my board, but not like single target removal, not like hard control, but like maybe stuff that exhausts. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that many games with this deck to know what is terrible against.
Yeah.
And my losses were to the Quinlan deck, which I think will beat it 100% of the time, and then you and Cad Bane Tarkentown. But the Cad Tarkentown one was a lot more of a cool. I don't have anything to play. I'm going to put this lightsaber on my tech because I had to play tech on turn 1 because I had no turn 1 plays. And then, the Bazines. I guess maybe like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe like a really, really aggressive. Like, it's probably not good in the like Crispy's Fennec deck, right? I'm sure that can just run through it a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I wish I could provide a little bit better explanation for this, but I just simply don't have any reps with it really.
Right.
So I don't know what it loses to.
Sure. All right, so why don't we go through your run real quick? Like, I think that's kind of an important thing. Like we talked a little bit about the deck. We talked a little bit about that. Why don't we talk a little bit about your run and like some of the decks you played, and ones you felt like this was like an auto win against, and ones that you're like, okay, I had to actually think a little bit more.
Well, every round that I won, it was 2-0. And maybe a couple of those games were kind of close, I guess the Palpello. Yeah, I just played a bunch of like wild stuff. How I'm just like all my locals have crazy things. I felt like kind of a local thing because like my first opponent was doing a Wookiee tribal yellow Chewbacca deck. I think I was the first person done, and I don't think it literally took more than 10 minutes combined for both of our games. It was kind of embarrassing. I killed him before that's like 6 resources for him. So it's just probably not a good matchup into him, especially when you just attach a lightsaber to Yoda and literally kill every single thing that Chewbacca puts for a Sentinel without taking damage. Or maybe 1, but you have 8 health or 7 health. So the second game was against you. Should have played a little bit better in the first and third games. Should have just played the redemption instead of like resourcing it to play C3PO for no reason. But I'm sure you can go over that one. Third game was actually against one of my locals. He's running Blue Java. So it's like kind of control. Yeah, Blue Java. He doesn't really use Java's ability too much, but he does like the flip turn capture thing, and it's got actually it's a ton of Sentinels in there. Like almost every card is like a Sentinel. Mm-hmm. He's running like the 4-cost 3/4 space Sentinel in blue, like even so. It's kind of crazy, and it's just like you stall the game out, and then you just win in the end game. It actually beat my buddy Sandeep. He's running Quinlan Tarkentown. He like lost to the Jabba deck.
Yep.
Just because like it stalls it out.
Yeah, that guy sat next to me round 1. And like I was like sitting next to there. I look over and I'm like, that's Jabba? And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, all right.
I mean, he's actually been running Jabba like on and off for several months. So like, good on Paul. And then up next was Obi-Wan Tarkentown. Which is, a lot of... I told you, I played a bunch of crazy decks.
Like, what? Who's running that? Who's running that?
I mean, we're both, like, 2-1 at the time. Like, he finished, like, decently. Because it's a lot of, like, a lot of, like, red, like, Ray. It's kind of like that, except for you heal your unit, so it's really good into things like Quinlan and Cad. But you still have the hand destruction kind of aspects. And then it is super anti-aggro. He had like even like the Nema outpost constables because of the 2/6, but you can just keep healing them with Obi-Wan. So they just stick around. So that was a really cool deck. Up next was the second Yellow Palpatine. I've seen this guy around, actually. I think he's out of Ann Arbor area. And the games were kind of like grindy, but like we weren't playing like slow. It's just like, well, you play this. Oh, well, I play this and blow that up. It's like, cool, I blow that one up. I'm like, okay, next turn. But he didn't have any scanning officers, so that helps. But yeah, it was just like those were some wild games. Like the board states.
Was he running more of like the bounty hunter version? Because like, so there's two versions of Yellow Pelt that kind of been floating around, like the Separatist thing that I was on, and then there's like a bounty hunter version, which is like a little bit more anti-aggro, because it has like tons of ambush, and it's like I'm gonna ambush and kill you versus ramp.
Yeah, no, I would say it's actually very close to yours, which is some
Okay.
minor changes, like here and there. It doesn't have like the Separatist commandos, but it still has like Poggle. But it's very focused on ramping, which is very understandable. I did just like my Palpatine experience. I'm like, I'm gonna spark a rebellion first, and then dump the resupply out of his hand when he's at 7 resources. You're like, I'm not falling for that trick. We're gonna get that out of here. And then the round after that was against not a local, but like a guy that I like playing. I see him around occasionally. His name's Mike. He's running Sabine ECL, but he also main decks General's Blade in that Sabine ECL. So that was wild. We're just like, oh, okay, some big units here. Hold on to these waylays. And that, like I said, I don't think I have a terrible matchup into aggro like that. And one turn I did manage to DJ him before he at 4 resources before he could bring out Sabine.
No.
It was like I had the initiative first action. I just slapped down. I think it was actually DJ from my hand into the resources, which is what you do, by the way. If you're at 4 resources, you're going out to 5 anyways. To smuggle out DJ, just keep them in your hand, and then slap them down with the Han resource, and then like he'd like take care of something on the board. Or no, I think he played like a Rebel Assault. I think was what it was. So he swung with his 2 units, and then I DJ'd him so he couldn't bring out Sabine. And it was just like, oh, wild. And I'm like, cool, now I can bring out Hod and then swing in and then drop like a Grogu or a Spark or something like that. So that was a wild game. And then I played Tim and I got demolished by Cat Tarkentown. I did not have any cards to do anything against it, and he just snowballs from there. As much fun, like as good as like waylaying a Cad Bane unit is back, like it doesn't really do much. And ultimately, like he just plays the next turn and does the same exact thing, and I'm still out those units. So,
yep.
Yeah, that was that. That was all the Swiss. Like I said, I did 2-0 all my opponents that I won. I took 1 game off of you, and then Tim swept me, which he was very happy about because he like only loses to me. Like he does incredibly well in a lot of tournaments, but for some reason whenever he plays me, it'll be like his 1 loss, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, dude, I didn't even realize I'm like creating a Batman out of you, man. My bad. Like a nemesis or something. So that was a good run. I just wanted to go like 4-3 was my goal. Ended up 5-2 top 8ing, and then top 4ing. So that's way beyond any of my expectations.
Yep.
And dreams, I guess. So that was wild.
Well, all right. JJ, do you have any questions about the deck? Anything you want to
JJ should play this deck. It's wild.
Was there any cards outside of your sideboard that you considered coming in that just didn't make the cut?
Well, I did copy this from like the Norwich England England PQ win, so I just straight copied it and added another force throw for a little bit more consistency with that.
That's fair.
But like I said, maybe swap out the home ones, add a redemption, and something else. I was actually considering a Cad Bane unit, which I think would be pretty spicy. Because I can probably consistently hit up to like the 9 resources or whatever. Also, like, part of me wants to just be like, I'm just gonna play this Devastator for 14. But I'm not gonna do that.
If you had played a Devastator at 14 against me, I probably would have walked away at that point. I'd been like, all right, screw you. You're not a villain. You're not allowed to do this.
I'm just looking at something weird like that. Like, I wouldn't want to do Super Laser Blast, but it'd be kind of cool to just be like, I pay 10 for this Avenger. But I'm thinking just like Cad Bane unit, honestly, a third redemption and possibly like a one-off Cad, just because I think that'd be kind of cool, and then it would like remove space threats if I'm not like in space or something like that, or a one-off home one, right? Like it's whatever to me. Yeah, it's just it's a very unassuming deck, but man, does it like go wide out of nowhere, right? Because you generally just play 2 cards a turn, and a lot of them just deal with threats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and a whole bunch of lightsabers are like what are you gonna do? Or even like a hot shot blaster on Han who swings for 80, pretty much kills everything.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex. That was a very thorough rundown for our Han Blue. For anybody that wants to check it out, you can check out our podcast. We do this all the time. So yeah, you're welcome. We talk about decks, like that's what we do. And actually, that gave us a disadvantage, which I'll get into in a minute when I talk about my run, because I have I guarantee you, I had a disadvantage, not just because Alex isn't even a bloody local of mine. We don't even actually play each other
that was
that
the first
much.
Time we played was at that tournament.
Yeah. So it's not that we play a lot, but we talk a lot through things, and that's like when I have discussions and things like that I want to do, like usually it's through Alex and JJ before anybody else. Like, so that's just like I talk to Alex all the time, so it's just kind of weird. We got paired up against each other, but twice, yeah. So anyway, so thank you for your Han Blue analysis. For my run was crazy. I went in also thinking if I got 4 wins, I was going to be happy for the day. I figured if I didn't run into any Sabine, then my day was going to be super exciting. So I played Pelp Yellow, or Pelp 1 Yellow. I don't know what we want to call them. The best Pelp that there is, Yellow. And I almost swerved to Pelp Red the day before, and then I was like, no, I'm just going to stay here. And I'll tell you what, I waffled so much the night before between this and Quinlan Voss ECL. That was kind of what I wanted to play. I've been playing a lot more Quinlan. I had the good success with the Source Showdown. I've been having decent success, but I don't like Quinlan as much always into the Hans because them stealing their stupid, resources make it a little bit harder. And whereas Pelp, I could care a little bit less if the DJs and the techs get off, but then I said, hey, I'll just throw scanning officers in there. I did not create this deck for the most part. I was a little spicy in one of the cards I put in there, but other than that, like this is one of the ones that want to show a PQ or top to PQ that was in our KTOD Discord, and I just started playing it about 3 weeks ago. I think I have a little bit of an advantage because we played a lot of Pelp. I've tested Pelp every set, Pelp Red at least every set I've tested. Period, hands down. So I have a little bit more experience with Pelp probably than a lot of other people do because we have that many games. But essentially, my deck is 3 Salacious, 3 Colonel Yularans, 3 No Good to Me Deads, 3 Scanning Officers, 3 of the Coruscant Couriers, 3 Poggles, 3 Emperor Pelps, 3 of the Super Laser Techs, 3 of the droid, I don't remember what their last name is, but
Droid Commandos,
3 resupplies, 3 elite P1s, 3 waylays, 3 overwhelming barrage, 2 change of heart, 3 Vaders, 2 Mauls, 2 Cads, 2 of the reinforcement walkers, and then 2 main deck relentless. My sideboard was 3 Bazines, 3 Pelps return, 1 extra Maul, 1 extra Cad, and 2 Devastators. Now, I did opt 100% to put the Relentless in the main deck. And I will tell you, as much as like people like want to give me shit because Devastator is 100% a better card, those Relentless save me more times and they swing for 8. Like they are not a Sentinel, so that does matter a little bit, but at the same token, I don't care as much. Usually if I'm playing a Relentless down, I'm pretty much able to close the game out pretty fast. That only has to swing twice, and on top of that, I'm usually at 10 to 12 resources. So the way the deck plays is depending on kind of how you're playing against it. Your goal is to kind of open with a Poggle or a Scanning Officer, depending on what you have. So if you have your Emperor's Royal Guards, the best thing is to get one of those 2 down and get an Emperor's Royal Guard out. That's just hands down. If you're going to play against a space deck, you want to open with a Courier, right? Because the Courier allows you to swing into their unit, and then it does a 2 damage, creates a Battle Droid token. The next, that same turn, you can pop it and kill whatever you swung into most of the time. So that's kind of your openings. You're healing. This deck has a ton of healing. You do not want them to kill their Salacious Crumbs. And I hate playing against Alex because he knows what a Salacious Crumb does. And there was a lot of people
outside, man.
Yep. A lot of people don't know, that he heals 2 damage when you play him, and you can bounce him and heal 2 damage. So, the best part is when you pop your own Salacious Crumb, and then they're like, "Why'd you do that?" And then you play another one out of hand. You're like, I had another one in hand. So, this deck draws cards like nobody's business. If they leave same thing. If they leave your Poggle alone, every time you play a unit, you just exhaust Poggle. It's helpful. I mean, I don't even have to kill any other units. I just kill my droid tokens every time. The other neat thing is Poggle can exhaust and create that droid token, and if they kill Poggle but leave your 1 drop there, you can still ambush in with those droid commandos because it's still a separatist unit. It's stupid. I don't think that they designed it to work that way, but that it does. So it works very well. People will kill your Poggle and not think about that 1 droid because nobody cares about the 1 cost droid, but it does. It works very well with a droid commando. So the ambush, that piece of it is the ambushing going in. You want to get your ECG down, but that doesn't always work out. ECG, is that what I call it? Emperor's
ERG.
ERG. What is an ECG? I don't even know what anyway. And then obviously you have your ramp cards, right? So if you're playing against a yellow deck, you're better to play Resupply than you are to play Super Laser Tech. You know how many times people bounce your Super Laser Techs? Though I will tell you, I'm not as upset if somebody bounces it if they're not building their board state. So if their goal is to build a board state and they bounce it, whatever, that's fine. I do hate it if the Hans do it, if they could play something else at the same time, that's a problem. But I'll be honest, I don't swing with them very often. Most of the time I'm just popping them. Sometimes I'll play it on the 4 resource turn and then just kill it right away just to go to the 5 resources, because you're not doing anything. Your units are there to just be there. The P31s are unique. Either you want them in your opening because they help you with the extra pings, or you want them because they go after space, and they also will activate your droid commandos, as an FYI too. And people don't think about that either, when that's in spaces. So then that you could play that, ping something, and then droid commando and kill it the next turn.
So does your Confederate Couriers too. They're also separatist droids. So you turn 1 Confederate Courier, you could turn 2 ambush in with the droid commando.
Yep. And a lot of people don't have space answers per se right away, but I don't know. I did this. I can't remember who I did this to, but that was a thing, having that P with 31 pings the 1, that thing ambushes in and then kill the Cassian. And that was really good. Yeah, you got 3 damage, but you didn't have a Cassian anymore,
Or Tax.
Or
DJs.
Yep. Or DJs, any of those. Yep. Waylays are just waylays. I will tell you, the Overwhelming Barrage probably should just move to the sideboard against aggro. And most of the decks, I didn't use it except for against other control decks. I apologize. I did use it against Tim, but that was it. Tim was the only person I used that wasn't a control deck that I used it against. Other than that, a lot of times it was just a win more card. I'm less confident that card is such an amazing card. I will tell you on the podcast, because I did not say it to Tim there, but when we were playing against this Cad Bane, and I overwhelming barrage my Vader. He had all his research. I was so worried he was gonna just waylay Vader. If he had a waylay and he had waylaid Vader, I would have lost that game. 100 hands down.
He didn't. I saw his hand. He didn't have a.
Oh,
he didn't have
man.
anything. He had the closest he had was like a 4-lom, but you had the full health Royal Guards out there.
Yes. So yes, so I was very that is very good. Vader's obviously like Vader being able to pull Emperor's Royal Guard, or you could pull a Poggle and then a Salacious Crumb to do the healing is really good. You could pull that courier carrier, that Confederate courier is like really good to pull with that as well. Like a lot of times I would, especially if they're running space, I would do that. Just to put that space unit out there to kill something. You know what Lurking Ties have? 2 health. You know what Lurking Ties do not want to see is my 1 health one. If that thing had ambush on it, would be so much even better.
Timely.
I don't run timelies, but that's we can talk about that. We'll go back to the Cad Banes were really good. The Mauls were really good. I like Maul personally more than I like Vader, but Vaders are more useful in this deck. It just is. Mauls are great for closing. Cad Banes are really good at stopping. If they can't take care of that Cad Bane, it's like, whatever. Or if you're going to lose that turn, Cad Bane can come down and stop you. The reinforcement walkers are just silly. I don't know. I kind of want to run an extra relentless walker or put one more of those in my sideboard. I like those a little bit more than I had more success with those than I had with the Cad Banes. Especially against control.
They draw you cards too.
Yeah.
If you don't need the healing, they're huge. They're really good.
Yeah. So sideboard wise, I played Pelt's Return against the control decks only, and that was it. Other than that, probably don't need them. If people aren't going to play Pillage anymore, I didn't run into Quinlan, and that's what they were there for, is Quinlan's and Anakin's that had Pillage. That's it. I sided them again against Brendan when I played him. Other than that, I did not side them in for anything. I sided one in against Alex because I could, and I didn't need it.
Like, I guess if the game goes long enough, you can bring something back.
Yeah. Well, our first round, the first game we did it, everything went forever. So I wanted to be able to bring back a Devastator. And then obviously Bazine's being sideboard is a little bit different. I did that on purpose though, because I wanted more. I didn't care as much what you play because I can react to what you play. And that's kind of how you play this deck. You react a little bit and ramp pretty hard, and then you just swarm the board and let them trade. Even if I play a Vader and they can kill it, I can play a Vader again. I can play, a Maul. I can play a Cad Bane, and like everything just hits for, a quarter of the health of their base if they're running a 25 health base. So let's talk a little bit about my run, I guess. That's kind of we could talk about that. My first round was I think Sam, and I went 2-0. It was a Han Green. I got Scanning Officer off 3 times in 2 games. And wow. It worked all 3 times.
Do you appreciate how I played around Scanning Officer?
I do. You were the only one that did, by the way.
I don't see why people don't do that.
Yep.
Like, nobody... You don't need to just drop decked out immediately into your resources. You can just play them from your hand. What are they going to do?
Yeah. Well, if I have a Bazine, I think people are used to seeing Bazines right in Pelp Yellows. That's a good turn 1 play in a Bazine. I specifically just cited them out. I put Scanning Officers in there for that reason.
I just never even considered Bazines.
Honestly,
yeah. But
that's whatever. But that's what a lot of people use the Bazines for, like especially in Pulp, as a turn 1. Let's just block, let's brick their hand. And I won't lie and say I side them in, but like you can't have like a 70 card deck. I just can't have it. So, so my first games were against Han Green. The first game went by really quickly. The second game he bricked twice, and I don't think that was his fault. He had some pretty bad card draw for his Han. And he just couldn't complete a board state. He never could get the DJ Tech combo off either time, which that's a huge issue. Like if you could get the DJ Tech combo off against me, I don't care as much, but I do care a little bit. Especially if I have a smuggled Bazine and you get that. I don't like that. That is not fun. But I like all the people that did Scanning Officer me back, and it didn't work. But Yeah, so that was my first set of games. My second one was against Alex, of course, and I won the first game and I lost the second game pretty handily. And then the third game, Alex had a hard time drawing with his C3PO.
Yeah, just, call 3. Don't get any 3s.
Yep, it happened a lot that third game, and that third game we grinded it out literally 2 times. Like I think we definitely were either on the last action or at that 1 minute mark.
Yeah.
And it was just that basically everything he could put down, I had an answer for, but then he had the next turn, he had an answer for mine. So we literally went back and forth. The first game, you resource the redemption, and then I was killing your text because that's what I like to do. Is I don't like their text to live. If you steal my resource already, I don't like. At this point, if your DJ still up, I don't care anymore. Very rarely do people pull a second DJ out to steal a second resource. Yeah.
Oh, I don't care if I even have a normal DJ out. I just smuggle another one out. Easy. You're just denying them resources. Why would you not do that every turn?
I don't know. People.
I would play back to back to back if I could.
That's why scanning officers exist for people like you. Anyway, but Alex resourced that, and you didn't have a tech up to be able to pull that out, and that I was able to close the game out that first one just because I had those.
No, I had it in hand, and instead of playing it, I'm just like, no, I'll just play 2 or like 3 cards or 4 cards this turn, and then instead of just like playing it next turn and winning.
Yeah. And then the third game, my Devastator is what basically won the game. Like that if I hadn't gotten that Devastator, I would not have won that third game whatsoever. like there would have been no way. Or if you had seen better cards.
I exhaust you. You took Han, and I have outs to it, and I exhausted him with Grogu instead of just playing the Change of Heart for my resources and taking them back permanently. So I exhausted it with Grogu. You overwhelming barrage, and then I smuggled out the Change of Heart anyways and took them back. And I'm just like, I didn't need to do that or exhaust my own dude, and also then I would just not get my board wiped, and also I'd have a Han.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah. So that was my round 2 was Alex. My round 3 was against Cad Tarkentown, which was more of what I would call the standard Cad Tarkentown. That one there, the second game did go a little bit longer. I was a little worried we wouldn't be able to get a third game in. But I had a lot of answers for it. When people let me steal cards that they shouldn't let me steal, sometimes that happens too. I think that was Eric from your locals over there. I think he's on the east side as well. Skinny young kid. I don't know.
No, I have 2 Erics, but one of them was playing Red Asajj. The other one was Sabine Yellow. So
yeah. So this is
third one.
Yeah. So this was the normal CAD. I think a lot of the mistake was letting me go first, thinking that I was going to play a unit. It's just like, just go first and either play your units. I'm not a blue player. Like I'm not. You give it to me. I very rarely am going to play something that you can kill. I'm just not going to do that. And then the turn 3, I'm going to play my super laser tech so that you either spend your resources waylaying them and don't play a unit, or you kill it, or I get to kill it and ramp. So those 2 games I was able to ramp pretty easily, and I think that affected him. He did not get the effective Bazines off when he used Bazine to go against some of my things. So it was just a little easier when it came to, I was able to out ramp him fast enough to stop the board wipes. After that, I played Brendan on Anakin Blue. The first game, he gave me an Obi-Wan. And then I didn't even kill the Obi-Wan. I just let it sit there as a Sentinel.
And then you get 2 experience tokens and you draw a card when you put that on Palpatine.
Yep. So I let the Obi-Wan sit there and kept swinging in with it. And the only thing that I would have liked better would have been like a Yoda, because then I could have gone for the whole restore. But an Obi-Wan isn't too bad because it's just locked between him and Pelp. Like, that's 8 damage without an overwhelming barrage or anything else. Like, that's just there. And if you kill him, I'm giving it to Pelp, and now it's another 6 damage. So that, I think that was a mistake on his behalf. I don't think he meant to do that. The second game, he got his crate dragons down, and I got anxious, and I flipped Pelp early, thinking that I could still out ramp and get like a Devastator or something like that out that would stop him. But I didn't. I made that mistake, and he took the second game because of that crate dragon. And then the third game, he didn't see his pillage. He didn't see any pillage whatsoever. So like I thought that was crazy. Like I put my Pelt's returns in thinking he was gonna pillage me. Nope. He only runs 2, I guess, but he never saw them. And I was like, oh, that was crazy because he did the force throw thing with me a couple of times. And so I held on to my lower cost units. It's like, okay, fine. Yeah, it sucks. I got lost to Glacial Scrum, but that game I was able to kill Anakin and made Anakin ineffective. And usually if you can't get to your crates, then that game's over with. And that's kind of what happened is he wasn't able to get to the crates fast enough for me. The third game was against a Boss Green. All 3 of those games were crazy games. Like you want to talk about like, I don't know if people just don't know this, but if you see somebody put down a Piet, don't let it sit there. Just kill it. Kill it. Make them use their timelies. Oh my gosh. But you want to talk about somebody that had as many resources as me? That guy was a great player. He was hilarious. Like, I mean, like we were at like 15, 16 resources or something crazy like that first game. It was just insane. So those games were kind of very grindy. The second game I lost. I know I lost the second game because of 2 mistakes I think I made. One of them was an early pelt flip that I screwed up on, and the other one was 3 mistakes. I had an earlier pelt flip than I needed to. I used Waylay when he had a Relentless out, and then No Gets Me Dead when I should have reversed that to be able to Waylay the Great Dragon or the whatever is down there so I could play other units. And then I also swung in with something instead of Maul, like swinging in with Maul. So he dropped the Crate Dragon, and I couldn't do anything because everything was just damaged after that. So then, like running the Maul into it basically almost put me at lethal. So I conceded that game. But I swung in with my Relentless, and instead of he had 1 health left on his Walker, and I should have just mauled in, died, and then did the overwhelm to base. Very good player though. The second game basically kind of came down to I was able to get out Devastators and like we grinded it out, and then the Devastators is just kind of what killed them again. Right, round 6 was a Cad Tarkin Town, and that was your buddy Tim, who plays a very weird Cad Tarkin Town deck. And yep, it's he was the one I believe that waylaid my super laser tech too. So I didn't care as much until he went wide. In our first game, I won pretty easily. Didn't have as big of issue. When he started sideboarding in, that's when everything went to hell. So I don't know if he doesn't run those. He didn't see TIE Phantoms. I don't remember seeing TIE Phantoms the first game.
I think he sized those in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had those the second game. That second game, he won pretty decently. Like I didn't have a good control. The third game, I struggled quite a bit with, and it was really hard because he knows how to trade his units appropriately, and he knows when to go to base appropriately. And the game came down. The board state was I had a Vader and an Overwhelming Barrage, and I was worried that if I Overwhelming Barrage on Vader, he'd waylay a Vader. But if he didn't, I had enough. I did the math. I had enough to swing in and kill everything, and to kill his board. And he was, I think, 4 damage off, 3 damage, like something like that. And he swung in with a punishing 1. I Overwhelming Barrage, killed the punishing 1, I swung in and killed one of his lurking TIE Phantoms, is what I did. Then I Overwhelming Barraged and killed his space units. And then he Ruthless Raidered into it. And it just, at that point, it was just too late. And basically I won that game because I had the stupid droid. I had 1 droid he just never dealt with that just sat there, and that was the 1 damage I needed. But those games were insanely close. Like, holy crap. Then my Sabine ECL game, those games were done in 10 minutes. So I had 0 answers for his Sabine ECL. The kid told me, he's like, I've never won against a Pulp. And I'm like, I have no idea how you've never beaten a Pulp.
Right.
Like,
I was like, I did a double take when he said that. I'm like, what? What?
Like, I must suck as a Pulp player. You know, I'm 6-0 today, but I must really suck because if you've never beat a Pulp, like I seem crazy to me. But the kid was really nice, and it was hilarious because like we played it out, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't want to see you, and you're gonna ruin my 7-0 day is what you're gonna do. But oh no, don't worry. Okay. And then yeah, it was everything. Nothing went right for me. Like it didn't matter. I could kill something. He just suited up the next thing. So that was my Swiss run. My top cut run wasn't very much. It was just Alex. I had to replay Alex again in Revenge of the Swiss, and it was basically the first game I got a horrible card draw even after a mulligan. Like I just saw nothing of any value in the second game. He was able to DJ tech me and spark a ramp card, and so between that, like there wasn't really much. We did play the game out, and I did make him work for it, but really, like the game was won pretty much after the DJ tech.
You never even swung into my base.
I know. I still made you work for it. Yeah, I kept stopping your damn units. You had to play like 3 more units down every time. But like in reality, there was not much there. I'll be honest, I was pretty tired. And I think the disadvantage I have is that Alex knows how I play a little bit, and we talk a lot about play lines. And Alex is a pelt player, so like there's a huge that's the funny thing is people don't get that, but if you play Pelp a lot and like Alex plays Pelp a lot, you to some extent what that's playing. And we went over the deck on the podcast, so it's not like he didn't know what I was running anyway. We already talked about this deck. I didn't change very much.
Yeah, this is very close to like the yellow Palpatine that I would normally build.
Yeah, so really there's not much in there that was like he didn't know about. And he just went low to the ground and aggressive very fast, and I couldn't do anything about it. The Sentinels, I didn't have a way to get rid of Sentinels fast enough to make a difference. And so that's kind of what it was, which is fine. At that point, I was ready to go home anyway. I was pretty tired, so.
Well, remember what I tell you, the longer I end up playing in tournaments, usually the better I end up getting because I remember how to play things. So I was just like, okay, we're top 8. We're like 7 rounds in here. Let's go for round 8. I'm ready to play this game. And then after I play the games, then I crash and I'm really tired.
Yeah. So overall, it was a good run. I did a million times better than I ever thought I would. I was not expecting to be top 8 at a PQ, so I came in 5th overall, second to Alex. So yeah, now we can say our podcast has PQ winners on it, or PQ toppers, or whatever the hell you want. So toppers is a bad thing, but
we'll so I gotta ask: are we gonna have the live stream rematch between Alex and Chris?
Nope. No. There's.
It doesn't have to be the same deck. I'm just saying.
That's even worse.
Yeah. No, I don't feel Palp yellow into Han Blue can churn into an aggro deck, and that's what Alex it did. Is he turned it into an aggro deck that stole my resources? So it's worse. It's actually like if he gets the right cards, it's worse than playing against a Sabine. I'll just say it. It genuinely is. If the first set of games we played, he did not play aggro. Like he didn't actually
have the cards for that.
Yeah. But when we played the second time, both games, I mean, the first game was a little bit easier because I didn't get shit for cards. But really, the big thing was just if he could turn it into an aggro deck, and Palp
really
can't do anything.
Nowhere.
Yeah, Palp can't deal with go wide decks and aggro decks very easily. I specifically brought this deck, JJ, because I thought there would be a lot of Han. And I was okay into Django, and I was okay into CAD. So I figured between those, that if that's the majority of the meta or weird decks, I'm good with it. Yeah. Did you have any questions, JJ, before we wrap the segment up?
No, it definitely sounds like a fun list, but it really does depend on you not running into the very rampant aggro decks out there.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for my Palp 1 yellow discussion. All right. We got some spoilers on the way that came out last week that we kind of wanted to cover that got some really cool things that going on. Hopefully you tuned into our 2-deck techs and our PQ run, but hey, if you have not, check it out. You can hit it up on the other part of the stream. We're going to go through spoilers because there was a bunch of spoilers last week that we didn't get to cover in our Galactic Gazette. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of note that as an FYI, we know that they had a stream and we know they talked about rotation. We are not going to cover rotation tonight. It seems to be a hot button topic. I'm not going to do it. JJ and I are like, hey, why don't we get together and talk about some of these spoilers that are come out? Because I'm super excited for this new leader. Not as excited as I was for Thrawn, but I am still pretty excited about it. And I kind of wanted to go through these. and not wait too long to go them. So, JJ, why don't you kick us off for our Galactic Gazette tonight and tell me about Captain Phasma. What does she do?
So Captain Phasma is the new leader that we saw. We knew that she was coming. I mean, they had the card sleeves already spoiled previously, but it's nice to see her come in. Excellent artwork. She comes in as a red and villainy aspect. Her tag is First Order and Trooper, and her ability reads action. If you have played a First Order unit this phase, deal 1 damage to a base. She deploys on 5 resources, and she is a 4 attack, 6 health. And her ability reads on attack. If you played another first order card this phase, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. And if you do, deal 1 damage to a base, which is really strong, right? You have the potential to essentially do 2 damage to a base. Note, it doesn't have to be your enemy's base. You can do your own base for whatever reason. Maybe if you need to bring out one of those that walker that deploys on 15, pretty decent way to get you to that amount and then deploy that and have it ready automatically if you need to. This card would definitely get better and better as we get more first order units, so that way you can build a very heavy first order deck, and that way you can have full advantage of her ability. But yeah, definitely pretty decent for what we have. She definitely plays very, very aggressive. She's almost like a better Sabine as you're dealing damage to your opponent's base instead of your own base. So I think that she'll give Sabine a run for her money. But with the caveat that you're playing mainly first order and not like other cards.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Like, that's the big key is, like what she can do. And this kind of goes back to the Destiny thing. Like in Destiny, she basically had a power action where she could roll in 2 Stormtrooper dice, which they sucked, but like she became a 4 dice character. And if you had Mega Blaster troopers, it was even better because they rolled in a whole bunch of dice, and so like you could just have all these trooper dice out, and it was kind of like trooper wall, so like that's obviously what they're going for a little bit with this. I agree with you. Like the card playability is better than Sabine, but I think it's going to hit less than Sabine. And I think we did get some really cool first order spoilers. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know how many first order cards there are. But I do know there's a Kylo style silencer, right? Like Kylo is also that. I don't know. So I hope they give us some really cool interactive cards that work with Kylo as well, right? That aren't just like the villain piece of it, where you can like, because it does it Kylo. Is it the shields Kylo gives, or does he give +2 to something? I can't.
I believe it's +2. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like this. I like her a lot. She also has 1 more health than Sabine, by the way. Yes. She does come out 1 resource later, but she does have 1 more health. Do you think we're going to see... Okay. Do you think we're going to see her baton or her blaster?
I think we're going to see her baton for sure. I think that's a very iconic weapon for her. So I think that's definitely something that we're going to do it. I'm hoping that it has like a combination of like the electrostaff guard, like where your opponents like deal 1 less damage, and then she could do 1 more damage if it's her who's using it. I think that would be a really cool like weapon for her, right? Having the best of both offense and defense.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that would be a really cool thing. I think in Destiny we had her blaster. I don't remember if we had a baton. Maybe we. But we definitely had a blaster, and that was like the best thing ever. So I hope we get a baton as well. Let's move on to caveat with her. We get a Special Forces TIE Fighter, which, okay, so like I know we're excited to play her, but like I just keep seeing yellow or red pelp like fodder every time we talk about these cards, because now we have the Special Forces TIE, which is a first order TIE. It's a 2 cost, 2/3. When played, and if an opponent controls more space units than you, ready the unit. And it's a 2 cost. So it's just like this mini TIE Fighter that's like, yeah, it's an SF. It can't shoot out its butt, but it sure as heck can shoot you if you got more space units.
Yeah, if you could find a way to like to bring this out as a smuggle, I think this would be extremely good, right? Because this is not a card that you want to play off right off the bat, right? Typically, if you're, especially with the new cards that are coming out that are able to play more token units in space and stuff like that, that's when you want to deploy that card. You could hold it in your hand and do it that way. It definitely benefits that way to like kind of like take out other space units out there. This would be really, really good, especially against the lurking TIE Phantom right off the bat, because you could deploy it, take out the lurking TIE Phantom, and still live on 1 health. So it's definitely going to be something that's going to be a staple for a lot of red decks for space.
Yeah, and it's a 2 cost. This is like a 2. This is great in Kylo too, by the way. Like,
yeah,
like this is just amazing in Kylo.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about General Hux, JJ. I know you're excited about him.
I'm surprised they didn't give him a subtext of General Hugs. So he's a 2 cost red ability aspect coming in with 1 attack and 4 health. He is a first order official, and it reads each other first order unit, friendly first order unit gains raid 1 in action. You can exhaust that card. If you played a first order card this phase, draw a card. So definitely a great buff. Definitely will have a lot of help with the Emperor's Royal Guards, just protecting him. Definitely a unit that you want to sentinel or have sentinels around, just so you can constantly have that buff there and draw more cards from your deck into your hand and play them out there. I am interested to see if they're going to have a really good Sentinel first order unit, just so you could take advantage of it. For instance, Kylo Ren's, or actually Snoke's bodyguards, those red bodyguards, like those are the versions of the Royal Guards. It'll be great to see those come into the game.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. This reminds me of Admiral Mahdi, right? Like, is that who, like he basically he does like dies and readies something. This just like gives everybody raid 1. I don't know. And I don't even care. Perilous position him, whatever. The next card is a first order TIE fighter, so not a special forces. This is a 1-drop 2/1 that while you control a token unit, this unit gains raid 1. So it's a 3/1 for 1 if you control a token unit. So, let me play this with Poggle. It's now a 3/1. I don't know. I like it. I think this is really good. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that First Order does get a way to get their own token units without having to go out of faction identity. Like just having a special forces tie token out there. It'll be great to go along with it, just for theme.
Well, or think about it this way: what if we got like a ship that gave every TIE fighter the First Order tag, right? Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, give me a capital ship that does that, like a cheap capital ship that has no attack power but has high health and can do that. Thank you, I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right. We also this week got a Captain Phasma unit. What is this unit, JJ?
So Captain Phasma coming in as a green aspect card this time, coming at 5 costs, and she is a 5 attack, 6 health with first order and trooper, and reads when played and on attack, you may give another first order unit +2/+2 for this phase. Absolutely great, right? Because you can, if the unit that you have played survives and you're able to attack with Phasma, you're now doing a +4/+4 for that particular unit. Will be really, really great if you can also have that unit be like an overwhelm unit, because you can just wreck a base really, really good with it. It's definitely going to see a lot of play, I think, for first order decks. I guess they are hinting very heavily that you should run Phasma with green. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to be really strong, I think.
She's nuts.
Yeah,
this unit is nuts, right? Like this is like the Poe Wrecker style like villain card that we need for that. Like just like, oh my gosh, like you can ECL her in, right? And you get the when played and on attack. You could give another first shooter unit +2/+2, so you could essentially give another first order unit like +4/+4. Like,
Yeah.
holy balls! That's just like, oh my god! I
I
think
mean,
like, how is this not like even a rare?
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say if you have a good Sentinel unit out too on the board, I mean, you just play her and boom, you just gave your Sentinel +2/+2. Like that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, blue decks will not care because blue decks could just fell the dragon that. But outside of that, like I'm telling you, like I don't know, like this card feels like a legendary without it being a legendary.
Yeah.
So. Next up is Moff Gideon, and I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm even more excited than Phasma for Moff Gideon, and it's because I'm telling you, it's not because of the character or that, it's because of the fact that we have Moff Gideon. He's got a dark saber, and we now have a Moff Gideon unit to play with Gideon's light cruiser, right?
Yes.
Gideon's light cruiser works with this Moff Gideon, and I have a Moff Gideon deck I've messed around with, and oh man, just be like, he now can activate that. He can just now join the ranks of the Gideon team. But essentially he is a 4-cost yellow villain. Of course, it's yellow, right? And when he comes in, he's a 5/4. He's an Imperial officer. When this unit deals combat damage to an opponent's base, each unit that opponent controls this phase costs 1 more. So every unit they play now costs 1 more. So now you have to you just have to kill him. Now I will say he does die, I think, pretty easily, right? You could probably kill him pretty easily, but
Yeah.
at the same token, he's just super, super, super good. I don't know. I think he's really good. Like I'm already excited to be able to play him with like Darksaber now just becomes a must to play in that deck because theme, right? Like, so let me have a Gideon deck with this and theme. And like, I love denying resource costs to people. Like, this is kind of like, this will mess with Han, right? Like, this is just going to mess with Han right here.
Oh yeah, I mean this is such a great deck or card to have in that kind of deck there. Even if you're paying the aspect penalty on there, I mean he's going to be really good to have, right? Because it helps delay your opponent. Especially if you're able to get this out and swing early into your opponent's base, I mean you can absolutely wreck somebody's turn 5 and mess up how they can deploy units out there. Who do you think this probably goes well with, like in different aspects for villainy? Who do you think is probably the best character?
Well, it's probably not. Like right now, I think this boosts. I think Bossk Yellow becomes a little bit more potent. I also think that this is a great CAD card. It doesn't have the ambush, but it has that negative play effect, and CAD can now like be very more picky about it. And because CAD is already, yellow, you don't have to play it in just the red version. You can play this in a green version. So off the top, like I would like to say Thrawn, because that would be really good, but I don't. Thrawn's not good right now. Like Thrawn's not like the best guy in the game. So, like, I really think it benefits a Bossk Yellow, and it's going to benefit it's going to benefit CAD. Like CAD's a great winner for this card.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little sad that Moff Gideon leader can't affect this Moff Gideon ground unit because he's a 4-cost, and but still, I think I agree with you. Like that's a really great addition for that leader.
Yeah. All right, tell me what's the next card we get.
So the next one here we got is Fight Fire with Fire. It's a 1-cost red Gambit card, and it says choose one friendly unit and an enemy unit in the same area. If you do, deal 3 damage to each of them. Really great to use with shielded characters, right? Because you don't care about taking 3 damage if you got a shield, and you can pretty much hopefully eliminate your target with this particular card. I think it'll probably have a couple of uses in a few decks. I could definitely see this in like a Garth Saxon deck. That could be really fun to use with. I could definitely also see this in a Ray Red deck. She is able to, buff units pretty reliably. Heck, even I could see this in like a oh my god, what's her name? Iden deck with red. That would be pretty fun too.
Yeah, I think it's okay. You're right. It's the shielded piece that like makes it worth it. Or
Grit.
Pelp, right? Who doesn't care if he kills his own unit anyway? So I don't know. This is like a 3 cost or 1 cost. Like I don't. It's pretty. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The next one is BB8. He's happy beeping. He has a 1 cost hero red. He's a 1/4 just out of the box. He's also a pilot for the same cost. When played as an upgrade, you may pay 2. If you do, you can ready a resistance, and he is a 1/2. So you could put him on black 1 and ready black 1. Seems pretty good.
Yep.
You could put him on this tactical heavy bomber, and that seems pretty good too. Because now it's a 4/7 that deals indirect damage. So I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It's pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, for essentially, you can do this on turn 2, especially if you have a really cheap resistance vehicle or even just like a cheap resistance trooper unit. Just put this guy on a ship and just immediately swing in with that trooper unit in there. It's going to be really really nice. Definitely for nice for aggressive aggro decks that can have that. And you can easily fit this in a Sabine deck too if you replace some of your rebel units with the resistance. Just being able to swing in with a unit by paying essentially 3 is pretty strong. You can put BB-8 on an A-wing, which would be great to see. And yeah,
I like it. I think it's pretty good. It is an uncommon, so it will be. I think this will be really good in draft.
Yeah,
or seal. All right, tell me who's making the weird face.
Oh my god, why did they do Snap Wexley like this? Why? So he deserves so much better, especially with Mr. Bones, man. I know.
Look at this though. He's like, oh, this is like a Comedy Central, like somebody like the Quackers or some crazy weird show like made this art. I'm sorry, like we don't have to like all the art, and it's fine. Like I do not want to dog like the person that drew this. Like I try really hard to be nice, but man, I'm telling you, like this card, like you know how hard it's gonna be to play this card and not just like say, oh yeah, or something dumb with this every time.
It's the resistance, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So he Snap Wexley comes in at a 3 cost with the green and hero aspects. He as a ground unit, he's a 2/5, and it reads when played as a unit on attack, the next resistance card you play this phase costs 1 less. As a pilot, he is a 2 cost. And it reads, when played as an upgrade, search the top 5 decks of your deck for a resistance card, reveal it, and draw it. So he's good either way. I mean, either putting him as a pilot or putting him as a unit on the board. I mean, that's really good to have as a resistance unit on there. I think I actually prefer the ground unit better, mainly because you can. If you're able to ECL them, you're paying 2 less for a resistance unit coming in that turn, right? So that's really handy. You can easily probably pop in BB-8 if you got 1 additional card, and ready him and attack him again and pay 1 less. That's a nice little combo there. So he's definitely going to see some play for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to see that we get some of these pilots with like ground unit text, because this card just becomes insanely useful because you can play it in any spot, right? Like this card is good in either arena. So
yeah.
All right, the next one is the tactical heavy bomber. I hope we get some cool pilots from X-Wing that go with this. Super excited if we do get some cool pilots. JJ, what is your favorite resistance bomber pilot that we could get?
It's got to be Venny. Venny from X-Wing. He's such a great pilot. Yeah.
I would be very excited if we got him. But this is a 5-cost hero red 3/5 resistance vehicle. On attack, deal indirect damage equal to this unit's power to the defending player. If a base is damaged this way, draw a card. That player may assign that much unpreventable damage among their base and units. Okay, so it's just telling you what indirect damage is. I think this is very good. Especially if you get a couple of these out. Again, this is now giving Hero a little bit of that taste we had with Bobo with indirect damage. I would not be surprised if we get a card that allows you to reassign indirect damage on the hero side to whatever you want, kind of like we have in Villain with Boba. So I really hope we get something like that in Hero. And like I would like to have 3 bombers on the table at one time.
Yeah,
It would
honestly,
be like X-Wing again.
If you put this on ECL, right, you can ECL this. It goes into attack mode immediately. You can deal 5 damage right off the bat with that, and then deal its attack to whichever character you want. So it can do quite a lot of damage as soon as you come in there. And if your opponent still can't deal with this unit afterwards, heck, putting a bunch of I would even entrench this to make it a 6/8. And then just attack like a defending unit, and you're still dealing 8 indirect damage to your opponent from that. I mean, that it's just really nice. There's a lot of utility for this particular unit.
All right, what's the next one, JJ?
Next one we got here is the Desperate Commandos. This is the 2-cost blue aspect 2/2 resistance trooper, and it reads, when defeated, you may give a unit -1/-1 for this phase. This is definitely one if you're doing a red-blue deck, probably something you would consider doing with BB-8, as you can play this unit there. It is a resistance unit, and you can ready it with BB-8 once it's played there. Pretty standard trooper type card for the resistance. It's nice for them to get a little more units on there. Also eligible for Thrawn, because it's just a blue card put into Thrawn, and all of a sudden Thrawn is doing a -2/-2 to somebody, and probably could take out that unit. So yeah,
it's a really good up value in trade. And I think you're right. I think this sees play. I definitely think this sees play in Thrawn.
Yeah, or heck, even Palp if you're doing a Palp blue.
Yep. And Palp Blue's kind of like, I think Palp Red is going to be good, and I'm going to try to build Palp Red, but Palp Blue this next set so far feels the best out of all of them. Yeah. And that's kind of where my head is going. Again, we'll see what pilots we get, but I don't know. It seems pretty good. The next one is a Black Squadron Scout Wing, 5-cost hero yellow. It is a resistance vehicle fighter. This is, what is this, the T-75 or the T-85? Is that what this is?
That's a T-75 for sure. Yeah.
Okay. This is a 4/6. When you play an upgrade on this unit, you may attack with this unit. It gets +1 for this attack. So this is so I don't know, we can scroll back up. What's BB-8? Gives you +1. So this can attack for 6. When you play BB-8 on it, and anybody else just makes it more. You can put Anakin on this. Yeah, Anakin's yellow. And then you can basically recycle Anakin to your hand.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good. Oh, Anakin.
Yeah, I know. Anakin's going to be the card that you want to collect. I don't hate this card. I think this card has a very wide butt as a 4/6. It essentially, if you're going to play an upgrade deck in Hero, this card becomes like mandatory. And I think, like we talk a little bit about Quinlan, right? And how Quinlan works. We'll have to look and see if when you attach a pilot, it's a right. So it's not it is a unit. So I don't know. We'll have to talk about how it'll work when this unit gets attached with Quinlan. Because, like, if you think about it, if Quinlan can attach a unit and ping a damage and then swing with this, like, that means this thing can swing for 6, or, it swings for 5, plus whatever upgrades on it, plus the 1 from Quinlan. This thing could just take out something. pretty
Capital
big.
ship, easy. Yep.
Yeah, so I will hesitate and say we need to get a Quinlan clarification from FFG officially. Maybe I'll ask them or somebody in the chat can ask, but I think we need to get that clarification. But I want to know going forward how that would work. Because I don't think anybody's asked that, and like Quinlan just becomes better, and I guess at that point I just need to eat the bullet and buy a Quinlan showcase now.
Yeah, for sure.
But overall, I actually like this card a lot. I think this card is really good for mid range. This is something I could see in a wedge deck too.
Yeah.
I'm actually already working around building a wedge deck. Like wedge is kind of my new Quinlan. I think that's kind of who I want to play. I think if I'm going to play hero is wedge. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, tell me what the next one is. Whose ship is this, JJ?
Oh, I told you we were going to get this ship, man. I told you. So we're going to get the 7-cost Radis. I love it. This is the big capital ship that we saw in episode 8 when the rebels were fleeing the car. This comes with the green and hero aspect on cost on there with an 8 attack and 6 health, and it reads resistance, vehicle, and capital ship. Just a side note, I thought this would have way more health, mainly because this thing withstood the attack of several Star Destroyers for a long time, but whatever. So this reads, while you control another resistance card, this unit gains Sentinel, and it reads, when defeated, deal damage equal to this unit's power to an enemy unit. Kind of on the fence on this one because I wish you could spread out the damage if you wanted to. But you know, if you're dealing 8 damage to a unit, I mean, you could take out a Vader, you could take out a Maul, you could severely cripple a Crate Dragon. You could potentially take out a Devastator. I'm trying to think what the health is on that.
10.
Oh yeah, it's 10. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can do some pretty good damage with this to an enemy unit on there. Just wish it could do a little bit more. You know, just the condition of having another resistance lead card on the board to make it have Sentinel is, you know, kind of meh. Could see some play, but honestly, I think they're better capital ships out right now for what's available for green.
All right, so I'm going to counter you a little bit. I actually think this ship is amazing. I think it's amazing, A, because it's a Sentinel, so it stops them from going to base. Yes.
Additional, yeah.
So yes, you have to control another resistance card. So if you play this with the resistance leader, it works. So in a Holo deck, this is an amazing card. Just
that's true.
Off the bat. So you're right, it is a little bit conditional, but with the fact that you have this, it becomes Sentinel. It does the 8 damage. It's like a Devastator. Devastator's the same way. When you play it, it does only 10 damage to one unit, not anything else. This is just a when defeated. Now, if there becomes, I don't know, this is a 9 cost in Thrawn, right? If you play Thrawn Green, this is a 9 cost card that you can do double damage with.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So you can kill 2 units. You don't care about you don't care about the Sentinel piece. You can swing to base. If they don't kill this thing, whatever. This has the less health than a Avenger, but this could just like swing the game. This is in my Thrawn deck, just so you know. Like I already have this in my Thrawn deck. I have a green Thrawn I'm building. This is in my Thrawn deck. So I don't know. I think it's really good. I think you're undervaluing it. I think this card's amazing. Personally. All right, on to the next one. We have Profundity.
The Profundity. Yeah.
Is this Akbar's ship? Is that what this is?
No, this is Admiral Radis' ship in Rogue One.
Okay.
Yeah, that assaults the base. Yeah.
So this is a hero, red hero, 9 cost, 8/9 capital rebel. It's a rebel, by the way. Ship. This has Overwhelm, and it has a when played, when defeated text on it. So when played or when defeated, choose a player. That player, or they discard a card from their hand. Then, if they have more cards in their hand than you, they discard a card from their hand. So Pelp does not ever want to see this stupid ass shit. Ever. Do not play this against Pelp, please. I do not want to see this shit. For a legendary, it feels a little bit weakish. But at the same token, I do think that there's some niche value to this. I think this goes really good in Anakin Blue. Like, I think this is great in Anakin Blue because this gives you a way to have kind of a crate dragon slash that can do a lot of damage slash something that gets overwhelmed slash something that makes you discard cards. And I think this is going to be pretty good.
I agree.
Again, this is something Pelp does not want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly see this on a Han deck, on a yellow Han deck. You're able to put in, you're able to get 9 resources pretty easily with Han, and if you're pretty aggressive about putting cards in, you can pretty much destroy your opponent's late game presence with whatever cards they have in their hand. Having that overwhelm on top of that for this is really good. And just being able to just punch through and dealing damage to your opponent's base, it's really good. Side note, don't really agree with the thematic of this particular card, mainly because, and I blame Star Wars Armada for this, because in that particular game, Profundity is able to deploy another ship, like a small base ship, to go over there. And I think this should have came with like a token capital ship like that, that you could deploy only if you played the Profundity, just so you could do like a 2-for-1 type of deal for that. That would have been a nice little mechanic for it, but it's still great to see the Profundity come in. It's the first capital ship of this particular type that we've seen in the game so far, and I hope that we see more versions of this particular ship, specifically because later on we're going to see a particular character from a video game, Star Wars Squadrons, and they do have this particular ship as capital ships for that particular game. So it'll be nice to see more ships like this.
Fair enough. All right, tell us about the next cargo frigate.
Yeah, so we got the 5-cost, the Cargo Frigate. It's a blue aspect and hero aspect. Coming in at 6 attack and 7 health, and it reads resistance, vehicle, and capital ship. And it reads that this unit gets a -1, -0 for each damage on it. So it gets worse as you start damaging this particular card on it. I think there are better things you could do with 5 costs in your deck for this. I mean, shoot, half of the resistance fighters that we're seeing coming out now feel a lot better than this particular card. I mean, yeah, 6-7 is definitely a nice stat, but if your opponent starts dealing damage with it, then the value of this card comes down really fast. So yeah, it's something.
It's okay. How about that?
Yeah,
You
it's
just
okay.
say it's an okay card. I think like it could make your, like, you could have kind of a blue aggro-ish deck with something like this. I don't know. You don't want to assign indirect damage to it,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. It's okay. It is very powerful as a 5-cost 6-7 though. Like, that is a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
I also, just so you know, I also actually think this goes really well with Obi-Wan, because it's natively blue, and Obi can heal damage from it, and then it gets its power back. So you can deal like 1 or 2 indirect damage to it, and then get its power back. And I think this will have a little bit of more niche, like tidings. But I think this goes in an Obi deck. Pretty much this should just become an Obi deck staple. Like, that's where this belongs.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, I'm excited. I love Ahsoka, though. She's one of my favorite characters of all times. Her subtext is chasing whispers, because you know who she's looking for. She is a 4-cost yellow hero. She's a 3/5 fringe force, which I don't think they've done anything with fringe, but she's a force unit. She can also, by the way, take Ahsoka's lightsaber, and you can use it on her. When you play her, an opponent discards a card from their hand. If it's a unit, you get to exhaust the unit. This is great for 4 costs. Love it. This is more anti-hand destruction. Quinlan's gonna love this card. You know, Quinlan Tarkentown's just like this card becomes a must, and now you have a reason to run the stupid lightsaber as well. I love this card. I think this is a card I will collect hyperfoils of this card. I will definitely be playing this. She is one of my favorite characters. So
yeah, definitely. I gotta say though, I've never seen her as a fringe character. I've always seen her as at least this version as Ahsoka, as a rebel character, because she's known as you know, like a rebel agent.
Okay, what's her name?
Her name?
Do it. Say it. What's her name? Come on.
I know. It's my goodness. Oh, it's gonna kill me. It's gonna come to me like 5 minutes later randomly. I'm gonna blurt it out. Yeah, I can't remember it. But anyway, I guess they didn't want her to get too much buff from having like rebel benefits, and I can see why. But it's the artwork is just fantastic for Ahsoka. Like, it's great.
It's Fulcrum. It's fucking
Thank
Fulcrum.
you. Fulcrum. Yeah. Yes. And that should have been her subtext.
Yes, it should have. Yes. I agree. Unless we get a third Ahsoka unit. And this is Yellow Hero, by the way. So my other Ahsoka unit, that's a 3 cost. I can play both of them now. I can have 2 Ahsokas on the table. Yeah. And then I have even more reason to play Ahsoka's Padawan lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So the next one we got here is the 3 cost of Miss Hunter with the yellow and villainy aspect. It is a 3 attack and 4 cost with Underworld's vehicle and transport on this. And it reads, on attack, if you played a bounty hunter or pilot card this phase, you may draw a card. Absolutely love this, especially with having Zuckuss available and Forlom to pilots for this particular vehicle. I think it goes great with them. You're able to ambush them out and then play while you have the Mist Hunter out and then drawing a card afterwards. Just great synergy there. I'm hoping to see either one of them as pilots available to deploy into the Mist Hunter just for theme. And it'll be great to see them on there. And yeah, it's pretty decent for what it does. 3 cost, 3/4. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, we have a boss pilot yet so far. We do not have Forlom or Zuckuss, but I don't see why they wouldn't give us a Forlom or Zuckuss pilot. Maybe they don't, but that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to run a bounty hunter deck, I think this is great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this will go great in Cad Bane decks, honestly. Like, this will be great.
All right, the next one is actually almost my favorite card of the night. This is a 7 cost, green only, Turbo Laser Salvo. It's a tactic card, by the way. Choose an arena. A friendly space unit deals damage equal to its power to every unit in the arena. Like, all right. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Like, this goes in my Thrawn deck. I could play my capital ship, and this goes in my Piat deck. I could play capital ship. This is crazy, right?
You wipe the board.
This is crazy.
You wipe the board on this. Easy.
Like, oh my gosh. And you can put it in either hero or villain. I don't know what they were thinking with this card, other than I guess it's conditional because you have to have a unit out there.
Yeah.
So, like, they're trying to force people. So what's going to happen? This was going to happen at the beginning of the meta for this set. People are going to be going to base, and then I'm just going to be playing this card and wiping the board on 7 resources because you didn't kill my capital ship. And you have to kill it. And then people later on in the meta are going to have to, like, trade units. And I am assuming that's probably why this card exists, is to force people to trade units versus going straight to base for everything. I don't know. I love this card. I think this card is great.
Yeah.
But I'm a control player, so what do you expect?
Yeah, and I love that it's the scene from the Ahsoka series with the Chimera bombarding the base where the Night Sisters were. Like, I think that's really cool. I love that little piece.
Yeah. No, you know who this goes well in Pelp. So just I'm gonna throw that out there. The lob.
All right, so the next one here is Frisk. I love it. This is a Star Wars Squadron pilot that we've seen that's coming into the game. I'm really excited to see more pilots like Keo and stuff come out. So he is a 2-cost red and hero aspect, coming in at 3/2 as a ground unit, as a pilot unit. He deploys on 2 as well. And he is a 2/2, and when played as an upgrade, you may defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less, which is great because you just automatically delete another pilot if you want to. Just a really solid like pilot to add on there, really cheap 2-cost. It's definitely going to see some play in a lot of aggro decks that want to take out like shields from units and stuff, and or even upgrades. Upgrade units like experience tokens and stuff. Just a really great way to play it and take out somebody's upgrade. Definitely going to see some play for sure.
Yeah, like, oh, you played a BB-8 unit. Bye bye. Oh, you played an Anakin Skywalker unit. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, all right. Well, that is all we have for our spoilers and news section. Next week we will talk next week about the rotation of the set. I didn't want to do it this week just because of all the PQ stuff that we were talking about. Like, we had a lot going on this week. And I wanted to make sure I got through all of it. Next week we will be talking about the rotation. That will be a thing we're going to talk about. And to be perfectly honest with you, at this point, we're going to probably start rotating towards newer pilots and start deck building against those. So hopefully JJ and Alex can start. Alex hates doing that, but maybe JJ can give me some deck advice a little bit early. Like, I don't know, maybe pick a pilot that you really want to do and build a deck around it. So we're going to do that. I know that all the cards have been spoiled. But I really like, it's partially because I'm through my PQ season. So I don't have to spend the reps anymore to like play for a PQ. I can now, I'm actually tonight, hopefully I'm going to go build my Hondo Green, just to play for locals, just so I'm not playing the same thing over and over again. I think that I'm just going to switch and start playing fun decks now, for the next month. Even if I go to Star Championship, I don't care. I'm just going to play. I'm going to play for fun decks. But yeah, so anyway, that's going to be one of the things we're going to do is I want to start looking at building decks for the new set as pilots come out. So JJ and I cannot pick our favorite leader. We're going to have to pick our non-favorite leader so we don't clash and overlap each other. But we're going to pick some new leaders and things like that, and we're going to build some decks for it in the next couple weeks. So I will have one next week. I don't know, JJ, will you have a deck next week?
Yeah, I'll have a deck next week.
All right, give me a new deck with one of the new leaders. Give me a new deck. I like that.
All right.
So, all right. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.